Ibrahim Traore has called William Ruto to stop killing Kenyan protesters. That name, Traore, started moving through the streets like wind. But before that, all we had was pain. The country was already boiling. Things were bad, especially for us, the youth. We had no jobs, no hope. You wake up in the morning and you don't even know where your next meal will come from. The price of food had gone mad. A packet of unga was over 200 shillings. A small bottle of cooking oil felt like gold. Electricity was going up. Fuel was getting worse. Even water was becoming a problem. Then came the finance bill. That bill was like a slap to the face. They wanted to tax everything, even bread, sanitary pads, mobile money, and basic salaries. Most of us didn't even have income, and they still wanted to tax us for just breathing. So we went to the streets. It started slowly. A few people holding placards, shouting at roundabouts. But soon, it grew. TikTok, WhatsApp, and word of mouth spread the fire. Every estate, every town, started rising. Youths, mothers, boda riders, university students, even old men joined in. We said, enough. We marched peacefully. No stones. No burning. We were just shouting. Singing. Praying. But the police came like we were criminals. They didn't care if you were peaceful or not. They fired tear gas into crowds. They beat people with batons. They even chased people into their homes. I saw things with my own eyes. I saw a young boy get shot near the shopping center. He was holding a Kenyan flag. He was not even shouting. He was just standing, waving the flag. He fell down when the bullet hit him. People screamed, but the police kept firing. We tried to carry him, but tear gas hit us. We left him there. He died with that flag in his hand. In another corner, a woman selling vegetables was hit in the head by a baton. They didn't care that she was not part of the protest. To them, everyone poor was the enemy. That night, no one slept. People gathered in small groups outside their homes. Some were crying. Some were angry. Others were just quiet, looking into the dark. Then something began to spread. Not from TV. Not from radio. But from the mouths of people. In buses, in shops, on rooftops, people were saying, "That soldier president from Burkina Faso has told Ruto to stop killing protesters." No one said his name right the first time. Some called him the Burkina guy. Others said that military man from the west. But slowly, the name caught on. Ibrahim Traore. He had spoken. And what he said hit deep. A true leader listens to his people. You do not lead by killing them. That one line, it lit a fire. People started repeating it like a song. Mamas in the market said it while handing out Sukuma wiki. Mechanics at the garage shouted it while fixing bikes. Schoolboys painted it on walls. You could feel something shift. It wasn't that things got better, they didn't. People were still being killed. Police were still attacking us. But we felt like someone, somewhere powerful, saw our pain. And he didn't stay silent. He didn't speak in code. He didn't say, "We're monitoring the situation." He said it straight. Stop killing your people. That meant everything to us. Other African leaders were quiet. They didn't say anything. Maybe they were scared. Maybe they didn't care. But this one man, this Traore, spoke up. And from that moment, everything changed in our hearts. You could see it. The protests got bigger. The voices got louder. The fear started to break. We started painting his name on cardboard. One boy from KLA even cut out a photo of him and taped it to a stick like a flag. He said, "If this man can speak for us, we cannot stop now." In the estates, his name became a chant. Traore! Traore! Some people didn't even know where Burkina Faso was. But it didn't matter. What mattered was that he had stood up. And that gave us strength. That night, I looked around at my neighborhood. Children were playing with empty water bottles. A man was sweeping the street like life was normal. But it wasn't. It couldn't be. There was a protest in every heart, even in silence. And now, we were not alone. Because when we shouted, we knew someone had already shouted for us. Someone far away. Someone in uniform. Someone who refused to be quiet. Traoré had spoken. And now, so did we. After the voice of Traoré spread through the streets, something started to grow in us. It wasn't safety. It wasn't peace. It was belief. Belief that we were not alone. We had been marching before. But after Traoré spoke, it no longer felt like just a protest. It felt like a fight for dignity. We now had a voice backing us, not just from another country, but from another African. And that made us stronger. The next day, we came out again. Early morning. From every corner, every estate. We didn't have much, some of us wore slippers, others were barefoot. Some had placards made from torn boxes. Some came with nothing but their voices. We marched, not because we thought the police would stop, but because we finally felt like we were right to resist. The police came even harder. But now, they weren't just firing tear gas. They came with real bullets, armored vehicles, and men in black masks. Not just regular police anymore, military too. You could tell by the way they moved. By the guns they carried. They chased people into alleys. Broke into shops. Beat young people who were not even protesting. Anyone standing near the protest was treated like a criminal. A group of us tried to help an old man who had collapsed from the tear gas. As we lifted him, a soldier shouted at us to move. We told him the man was sick. He aimed his gun and said, "You'll be next." We dropped him and ran. We later heard the old man died in the back of someone's tuk-tuk on the way to the hospital. Another boy, just 19, was taken by police from his home in Pipeline. His name was David. He had not even gone to the protest. But his cousin had. That was enough. They beat him in front of his mother. Up to now, no one knows where they took him. In Matha, a 7-year-old girl was hit by a rubber bullet while standing outside her house. She was just watching. They said she lost her eye. The police didn't just want to stop us. They wanted to scare us into silence. But it wasn't working. The more they attacked, the more people joined. Even mothers came out with cooking pots, banging them in protest. Some marched with babies on their backs. And through all of it, Traoré's name was everywhere. We didn't need his photo to remember. We could hear his words in the chants. You do not lead by killing your own people. Some people drew those words on walls. Others printed them on paper and taped them to their chests. In Umoja, a group of students marched with a banner that said, "If Traoré can speak, so can we." One boy, about 16, shouted to a group of police, "Are you not also African? Do you not have brothers like us?" They didn't answer. But they didn't shoot either. That silence meant something. You could feel the fear start to shift. Not disappear, just move. From the protesters to the government. Even some of the police looked confused. Not all of them, but some. A young officer looked me in the eye as we stood near a burning tire. He didn't raise his weapon. He just turned away. Another woman told us her brother, who is a police officer, came home and cried. He said, "They're making us fight our own people." Inside government offices, people were starting to whisper. The pressure was rising. Not just from the people, but from outside too. Word spread that African leaders were watching. Some called Ruto. Some warned him quietly. Some didn't say anything, but their silence was not loud enough to cover Traoré's voice. He had already said what needed to be said. And once it came from him, it became our shield. Not against bullets, but against silence. Because in this country, silence kills just like guns. And that silence had ruled for too long. Traoré broke it. Not with money. Not with force. But with truth. And once truth touched the streets, it didn't leave. We still lost people. We still ran from tear gas. We still hid in houses and back alleys. We still buried friends. But our heads were higher now. We were not just angry anymore, we were awake. We were not just shouting, we were building something louder than fear. Traoré's words gave us that. They reminded us that being poor doesn't mean being powerless. That being young doesn't mean being blind. That being African doesn't mean suffering quietly. So every time we went out again, even as the boots hit the ground and the sirens screamed, someone always said, "Don't forget, we are not alone." Traoré stood for us. And we believed it. The protests didn't stop. Even after the tear gas. Even after the killings. Even after the president acted like nothing was wrong. The people kept going. We were tired, yes. We were scared, yes. But we kept showing up. Not because we had hope, but because we had nothing left to lose. They thought we would stop. That after a few bullets, we would run and stay in our homes. But the opposite happened. The more they beat us, the more people came out. Even the military came now. Green trucks. Black boots. Faces covered. Guns bigger than what police carry. You could hear them coming from far. They didn't ask questions. They didn't talk. They just acted. They fired real bullets into crowds. Not warning shots, chest shots. They stormed into estates and dragged young people out of their houses. They beat mothers. They broke open shops. One boy in Kisumu had both his legs broken. They said he was a protest leader. But he was just 19, a student. Another girl, university student from Embu, was pulled from a protest and never seen again. Her friends say soldiers took her. Her name was Lydia. In Nairobi, a whole group was trapped between buildings in the city. The military blocked the exits and started firing tear gas from both sides. People fainted. Some were trampled trying to escape. And still, people came out the next day. By now, the protest wasn't just about the finance bill. It had become about life and death. It had become about dignity. About truth. About the question. Do poor people deserve to be heard? And every time we asked that, someone in the crowd would say, Traoré said we do. That name, Traoré, was still in the air, even with bullets flying. His voice became a chant. His words became a shield. No, they didn't stop the pain. They didn't stop the bullets. But they gave us something inside. Something the government could not kill, conviction. We printed his words on cloth. Wrote them on our hands. Painted them on broken walls in Matha, Kibera, Kisumu, Kaole. Some said we were fools for holding on to one voice from another country. But that voice was louder than all the silence in our own. Because none of our leaders spoke for us. But Traoré did. He didn't say it for likes. He didn't say it for show. He said it straight. You do not lead by killing your people. You listen. You protect. And when the army came, and the world stayed quiet, it was that message that reminded us, we are still people. We are not trash. The soldiers kept coming. Nights were filled with screams and silence. Phones went off. Some people were taken and never returned. We started hiding phones in shoes. Sharing numbers in secret. Some people moved their children to the countryside. Others stayed to fight. In some towns, they cut internet for hours. But word still spread. Songs still came. Protesters still walked. One night in Nakuru, the youth gathered in silence and held a candlelight protest for the dead. They placed stones in a circle and wrote names of victims with chalk. At the center, someone placed a photo of Traoré. They said, "This man spoke. And we heard him." Even during funerals, his name would come up. One mother said at her son's burial, "He died for something. And someone spoke for him." We don't know if Traoré ever heard all this. Maybe he was watching quietly. Maybe not. But it didn't matter. He had already given us what we needed, truth with no fear. And truth like that spreads. We don't stand now because we are strong. We stand because we are many. And because one person reminded us, we are not wrong to stand. Now, the soldiers are still here. The protests are still going. The pain is still heavy. But something has changed. You can feel it in the way we walk. In the way we look the police in the eye. In the way we hold each other's hands during the tear gas. We're no longer just reacting. We are resisting. And every time the boots march toward us, we remember. The people are not alone. Not when truth walks with them. The government has power. The police have guns. The military has fear. But the people now have memory. They have names. They have reasons. They have voices. And one of those voices came from far. From Burkina Faso. From a soldier. Not from a coward in a suit. Not from a man hiding behind silence. From Traoré. And because of that, even as we walk through fire, even as our eyes burn, even as the dead are buried, we keep walking.